I think you will spend a few attempts before you get some success in the startup world, but it's just experience, it's just learning. And the most important advice for me is never give up.
Welcome to the Never Employed Chat. My name is Sam, and I interview people who make a living beyond salary jobs, entrepreneurs, business owners, and investors, so that we can learn from their stories together. There are many great ways to make a living, and even more ways to wealth. At Never Employed, we encourage you to think of alternatives to employment jobs. What would you do if a salary job was simply no option? You're basically working on Microns AI.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing for a living?
Not exactly, because currently the business that gives me like my main income, it's like my software agency, front-end development agency. So it pays for my bills. It pays partially when I started Microns, it paid for like Microns. Currently, Microns is profitable, but not profitable enough to sustain itself and like me and my girlfriend and pets. So yeah, we just starting out. So let's see.
Okay. Yeah, cool. So you're actually building your own startup on the side. And it's already profitable, but not enough so that you can live from the income, right?
Yeah. So it's currently I'm running Microns for 1 year and 2 months, and it has like 1,800 MRR currently at this point. So it pays for servers, domain, hosting upfront. It pays for automation, emails, and other software tools. Also, it helps me to pay for like my assistant and like VA that I hired, and he helped me with the customer support and submission verification a lot. So yeah, it just and the rest I try to reinvest into growth, like sponsoring other founders and creators. So yeah, just like this.
Okay, cool. And yeah, so before we get too deep into the tech stack and the general structure, maybe you just want to tell a little bit what's behind Microns. What is it? How does it work?
So Microns is just a marketplace where you can buy and sell profitable small projects. I call them micro startups. So if you're a founder and you have like a side project or like a project that you're started and don't know how to grow it and don't want to spend more time on it, you can just try to sell it. You can just submit our form and try to sell it. If you're like investor or entrepreneur, they're looking to start a business, for example, or looking to learn at a cheap scale, so don't build from scratch. You can also buy a startup with some traction, with some revenue, like product market fit, customers, and you can learn by practice with the founder of this project. So we provide our buyers 1 month of free support from sellers. So we kindly ask our sellers to provide this support for buyers because it helps a lot. For example, one of our recent acquisitions was like Iceland attorney who bought a multi-cloud micro SaaS project. So you know how it's like, it sounds like complex, but he already ran the project itself before the sellers help them to onboard into the platform. They showed him how to run this business. They showed him like how to operate different like marketing strategies. So he just keeps this business, run this business, and he also wanted to switch from low field into the tech field. So I think he achieved what he wanted.
Okay, cool. So this sounds like you're actually not building a platform, a marketplace where people can acquire startups or sell startups, but you're also building a very very active community.
Yeah, exactly. So my main goal is to build not only the just marketplace where people like transact, but my main goal, and I think it's the hardest part of like running the startup, it's to build the community where people not only like use your project to uh, just do one little thing, but also to learn. For example, it's one of the main parts. Um, and also practice, learn, transact, and like partner up, have some connection between, so they can like build something together or buy something together. We already have a few small syndicates of buyers who are looking, who are like developers who united in this community. They are like 3 or 4 people in this syndicate, and they are looking for a project with some traction, and then communicate and connect with each other to buy them, to like grow them into like a portfolio of small like ventures.
Okay, yeah, cool. So does it mean that those people, rather try to find attractive startups which they can grow and sell again, or is their plan rather to keep these startups?
Their main goal, what I learned, their main goal is to leave their 9 to 5 jobs. So they try to build something on the side, like aside of like investing in the stock market or real estate. You can invest in the software, and it has like the highest margin till day. So they try to leave their daily job. They want to retire early. That's why they try to grow this portfolio of micro startups. Then they can like easily liquidate or sell in the future. So, but basically they just buying them, growing them, and then decide what to do next.
Okay, cool. And talking about motivation, what's your motivation to build Microns, or how did you get started? What was the idea originally, and how did it maybe change over the time?
So yeah, great question. My main motivation, I'll say, it's my customers and my team. So they always keep me in the like in the street, into the stream of events, what happening. So you always need to be like aware, reply, and talk. And I think it keeps me like motivated. For example, today I've got a response from one of the our newsletter subscribers who said like, I'm not looking to buy a project, but I really love your newsletter because of like your updates, your business updates, how you share transparently your results, like your fails, your successes, and your anecdotes. Like it's pleasure. And I was like, what? I really like those kind of responses from people who support us, who try to, find something new for them, like not only to buy the projects or invest, but they learn, they can like partner up. For example, recently we've got a inquiry that one of the founders who read our newsletter for almost 6 months, they found a partner in from Microns. Like so that's really great stories, and they are building a moat around Micron. So that's not only like a marketplace, but it's more than marketplace. It's a community. In terms of how it all started, so I for some time I read Indie Hackers. I learned and engaged in this community. It's a beautiful community. And I learned from Twitter a lot. So I think it's all started when I saw all of these, projects, all of these like startuppers, like Peter Levels, um, and after reading a few books like Make Book, after watching some podcasts like My First Million podcast, I've started thinking how I can like join this game. And besides my agency, I started finding a project that I want to acquire. And when I found this project, it was like small Google Sheet add-on. Um, I figured out that when I bought this project, I figured out that many buyers reach out to this seller beside me. Like it was over 20 buyers who reach out to this founder that they want to buy his project. And I realized that there is a market for micro startups. That's why I started building Microns, and then everything like goes from there.
Okay, cool. So you actually found the need for yourself, kind of, or you just found the demand and actually already validated the idea that way.
Yeah, I started as a buyer, and Microns. I strive to provide high quality for both sides, but mostly we focus on the buyer side because those people are paying money for our sellers. Those people are direct customers who are paying us, who are paying Microns. So we're trying to provide them like best quality service, like pre-wedding startups, customer support. So we're trying to reply like in hour to their inquiries. Also, we provide great support for our sellers and founders, so we don't charge them a commission. I think that's a fair model because it's really hard to find a great profitable project with some traction, and because there are a lot of pre-revenue startups. We also list pre-revenue startups, but it's like we have 70% of revenue generating and 30% of pre-revenue. So there are like less amount because after a lot of discussions with our buyers, I figured out that they're mostly looking for a profitable project, the project with some traction that they can just grow and like flip later. But there is also a small set of buyers that are looking for cool concepts. It could be like pre-revenue concept. They know how to grow it. They know how to build it like further. So yeah, there are two types of buyers, and we try to satisfy both of them.
Okay, yeah, cool. And then is this a kind of subscription model for this kind of marketplace? Is that what's the normal way in these kind of marketplaces, or is it a new way to charge buyers or sellers?
To be honest, the most common business model for marketplaces is commission. So like based on the statistic in the internet, it's like 70% of marketplaces, they run on a commission. It's like Uber, Airbnb, and other places. So we chose this like subscription model because we figured out two things. The first thing is that most of the buyers, they're constantly looking for deals. So they are looking for a deal flow. If they're looking for deal flow, they need like a subscription because finding a right project to acquire, it could take even years. So that's why I ask our like members to be patient, because to find a really suitable project for your needs, because every buyer is unique and they have like different needs. Like, for example, someone is looking for Shopify apps, someone is looking for like Google Chrome extension or like Google add-ons or newsletters or media companies. So yeah, we ask our buyers to be patient. And finally, for example, one of our buyers found a deal after 9 months of like looking into Microns for startups. So yeah, it's a long process, and that's why we implemented this monetization model because buyers constantly looking for deals, and that's why we try to optimize for them for the first time. But also there are like different marketplaces who charge sellers a commission and don't charge buyers. There are also like places who charge buyers. The second thing why we decided to charge buyers is to provide them with the like best quality service and pre-vetting. So before we send every new startup, we figured out like traffic metrics, revenue metrics from the seller. We tried to understand what it came from. For example, is it like SaaS or like subscription or like revenue from ads? We try to properly evaluate every project and suggest the price to our like sellers. And recently one of our sellers listed the startup, and we helped them to evaluate correctly because previously he put very high price for his project, but it's awesome project. It's great project like for travelers. But we recommended them to reevaluate it and suggested an asking price. He agreed to it, and we published the startup. After this, he got a few inquiries from our buyers. He also listed his project on different other marketplaces. But what's interesting is that he finally found a deal on a different marketplace, but he admitted that he got a really great chats with our buyers. He loved our buyers, but finally, agreed on a suitable price for his project with a different buyer from different platform, and he asked this buyer from different platform to sign up for our premium membership because he wanted to make a deal on Microns. And that was like surprising for me because he really attracted to our site one premium member. I was surprised, and I said, why did you do this? Because he said, because you provided me with a great service, with a personal service. You contacted me personally. You checked our case individually and helped me through the process of the acquisition. That's why I wanted to, thank you for this. And I was surprised, and it was very pleasant for me. So yeah, I really like those stories and cases.
Yeah, that's really cool. That it really shows that it obviously pays off to provide not only a good customer service, but also, as you said, to build a very good community and to build relationships to the community. When you say that you kind of help this seller to sell and to figure out the right conditions, how do you help sellers in general, or how is the general process for sellers and buyers?
So it's very simple. For buyers, they can just double check our For Buyers page. We have a detailed guide. We have a blog with a few posts, how to make a deal, how to acquire your first project. If he needs more help, he can just reach out to us. We have like email support, and he can reach out to me on Twitter, on emails, or whatever, and we will help them. So basically, he just needs to purchase our premium subscription to get access to our startups, to revenue traffic metrics, to the community itself. For sellers, it's even simpler. The sellers just need to submit the startup. They don't need to create any accounts. So they just need to, submit their startups. Like, it's immediate process. On average, when I measured how much time it took for sellers to submit their startups, it was like 55 seconds. Mm-hmm. And yes, so if they build this project from scratch, or like they bought it previously, they all also know everything about it. So the fastest submission was like 30 seconds. the most slowest, like it was 1 minute and 30 seconds. But it like 1 minute of your time to submit, correct it or reevaluate it. We let them know via email. So you just need to put the correct email into the field, and we will reach out to you if we we just want to help you to sell your project. So we try to use our experience to help sellers understand the market, because we have like more than 25 startups sold through Microns. Our GMV are almost 150K. So we have some data. We can evaluate project based on this even small data set. But the most important thing is that we try to be like personal for every seller, every buyer. So we try to, approach this behavior like don't scale behavior, where you have to do something that don't scale, but later I think it will pay off for itself because of the service. But yes, it looks like this. So for sellers, you just need to submit the form. It takes 1 minute of your time. For buyers, you just need to purchase a subscription, and you'll get access to your profile, account, community, deal flow, and everything else.
It's interesting that you particularly point out on the point that you do things that don't scale. Probably you know that people talk about that kind of approach in the startup field a lot. I think especially among indie hackers. I think there is a very famous blog post by Paul Graham about doing things that don't scale. Do you think that this is crucial for bootstrapping startups basically? And do you think that maybe from your experience with the interaction with other indie hackers, would you say that this is something which many people just don't do? Or what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's very important. At the start, I think it should be your number one thing that you could do, because what I found, and it's like for me also, because I started as a front end developer. We are trying to optimize. We are trying to automate up all things up front, and we are trying to evaluate different risks. We're trying to think a lot about situations and events that can even they might even not happen at the future. So we overthink the solution. What I learned building Microns, that you always need to be like you always need to start with the things that don't scale. If you see that it just gets some traction, you need to automate it. When we started, I manually sent every request from buyers to the seller's email. So I manually wrote these emails. Then I created, a script that I put all of the names and, all of the data. So I manually resend those data between buyers and sellers. Then I just build up some automation, because we have like more than 150 buyers, premium buyers on the platform. So it started to be like very hard to manage all of these conversations. So I automated this. So build the solution step by step, but start with the thing that don't scale. So it's very crucial for marketplaces, especially because, as you know, and just data, to get for the marketplace to get traction, you need to 4 years to get some traction for the marketplace. So it's hard to get traction at first, but then if you get traction, no one can just stop you. So for the SaaS, for the other companies like content and media companies, I suggest to do the same thing. So start as a service. You should manually build this stuff like from scratch. You should manually forward all of the things. For example, when the Product Hunt founders started it out, he manually sent every email. He manually, verified every startup, like checked them out. So we started the same. We started with a lot of manual processes in operation, and then when we found that these processes in operation works, we just automated them step by step. It wasn't like immediate thing, but we just figured out our strong side and weak sides, and then double down on the strong side, especially.
Yeah, cool. That's cool that this works for you. And when it comes to doing things manually, I could imagine that it's not even, that it's even harder for people to think how they could do things manually, or how they need to build projects in order to be able to maintain them on a very basic level. Because nowadays we are so used to these automated workflows, because we use websites and we know, okay, I fill in this form and I know that this gets sent to whatever, the seller or the buyer or whatever. But I think there might be many people, many founders, many indie hackers who couldn't even think of ways to build a website so that they so that visitors can actually interact, but not directly with each other. So how does this look in practice?
So I want to tell you just one thing, just based on my experience. When you solve the problem manually, you just understand the problem better. So it's not about like saving your time. It's about understanding what's important for your customers, what's the real value for your customers, and based on this process, I talked with the different people, and I figured out what we should remove, what we should cut, what we should leave, and what we should improve. So all of the things, they are so crucial for you at the start. I recommend to start, every founder, I recommend to start with the thing that don't scale. Then you can easily automate it. But these things, they will help you understand the problem and the issue of your target customers better. So I think it should be your main goal to deep dive into the problem and figure out the possible best solution for your customers by doing things manually. Then you will automate it, but you will do this later. So one step at a time.
Yeah, I agree. But do you think that this is maybe even a thing which, many people underestimate in the beginning, especially the kind of market research part, which is connected to that, because as you say, when you do it manually, you are more used to reaching out to people manually as well, and to find customers on your own, and not just building a thing, building a website, building a startup and putting it out there and hoping that someone will visit it and use it. Do you think that the validation part is also reasonable reason to start with a service-based business?
Yeah, validation should be your also the first priority. Because for validation, you can approach in two ways. The first way, you're trying to solve your own problems, and you just need to figure out that other people also have this problem. So that's the first approach. The second approach, you can even read some of the posts like on Indie Hackers, on Product Hunt, or other startup websites, and you can learn from people from their comments. For example, when I recently read a few posts from indie hackers in their newsletter, I figured out only two ideas that that around 5 people got this problem. So you can just grab those people, connect to them directly, and solve this problem. Like it's so simple, but then you can easily scale. Like starting from 5 people, you can scale to 10, 20, 30, 50, and 100, and etc. So start from from scratch. Start from like small side, one step at a time, and you will double down all of your stats. But basically, it's crucial to validate your project in the most cheapest way as possible. So try to make your validation so cheap. Like don't build a lot of features or things. You don't need them. So I'll tell you, the first version of Microns, it was like free newsletter. I didn't pay for any software. I just started a newsletter and I sent those startups for sale. I engaged on Twitter, on Indie Hackers, and I just started like this. So I didn't spend any like dollar on the software. I didn't build any feature. So I used already built platform for this for newslettering. And that's the big idea to validate with no cost that I really like about the software world. So you can easily validate your idea. You can easily find your first customer and then build up on this. Like start with the manual process, find a freelancer, or like start building on your own, and then go from there. Then you will get more people on your platform, like do marketing and other stuff. So that will help you a lot.
Yeah, cool. Do you want to go a little bit more in detail about how you started with the newsletter as you described right now, and reaching out to people on, or reading posts on Indie Hackers? Did you just find people who want to sell startups and try to find others who might be interested, or how does it work?
Yeah, I started very simple. I signed up for review newsletter. I set up an account. I bought a domain to make it like professional. So I just spent money on the domain to look more like a professional company. So and then I just manually reach out to people on Indie Hackers, on Product Hunt, on Twitter, about if they want to sell their project. I've got a few inquiries from this, and I started posting them in newsletter. I started like growing our subscriber base on these resources. So a lot of manual processes. I built them a presentation of their project. Lately, I've connected with one of the great people who helped me to build the website, who helped me to develop this idea further. So I appreciate my team. I love my team, and we've grown from this, like from just me, and then I started to find different people who helped me along the way. From the like development side of the project, from like growth. So it just you should spend money on the when you see like validation. If you see that people are willing to pay for this, you should 100% like invest into this, because I would say reinvest all of your earned money back into your project. So, but basically start from scratch, start very cheap, try to validate with the free tools. Like you can buy a domain, but that's most of it to look more like professional. But you don't need to spend hundreds and thousands of dollars on the development, a lot of features, or even development. So start very simple at the stage when you validate your demand.
Mm-hmm. And how did you make sure that, or how did you know that people are willing to pay what for what you were doing in the beginning? So how wouldn't did you know what was the point where you found out that okay, I could actually charge people for that?
Yeah, so it was pretty funny because it solved it. For example, 9 months we didn't have any monetization. So we started monetizing based on our issue that raised. So this issue was founders get more requests from non-serious buyers, and we wanted to make our buyers base more serious, more qualified. That's why we started charging for like accessing for access to sellers information, because we wanted we wanted more transactions on the platform. We wanted more professional buyers that are they know what they do, and we wanted to like improve the quality of our seller service. So that's why we introduced a monetization. But before this, nine month Microns didn't have any monetization at all. So so you need to think about this when you like start your project. When you need to introduce the monetization, you can introduce it from like when you start the business. You can introduce it later, but in our case, we just solved the problem that raised in our startup, and we are so satisfied that we did this, because the quality of the service increased like gradually, and we've got 16% more transaction on the platform. We've got like 80% of engagement increased. So it played a crucial role when we introduced the monetization, and it helped not only sellers but the buyers also, because the buyers get the responses from sellers. Previously, it was like sellers discarded many buyers because many buyers didn't have any serious intentions about acquiring. They just tried to learn more information about the project. Currently, our buyers are more serious, and they're looking like could be like strategic buyers. They're trying to acquire a project they're related to his own project, like to create a synergy, acquiring a smaller project, or acquiring a database, or acquiring another set of tools that will help to level up their own primary product. So we just solved our problem, and that's it.
Okay, yeah, cool. Would you say that this wouldn't have been possible for you in that way if you didn't have another source of income? Or asking the other way around, do you think that you would have been able to build such kind of solution without having another income?
In my case, yes. So I needed like my main source of income. It was agency. So when I validated the Microns idea, I started investing more into development from from revenue from my software agency. And if you don't want to build everything from scratch, but you can also don't spend any money. If you're a developer, you can build it like on your own. But in my case, I had many other things on my plate, like managing my current agency, looking for ideas for Microns, creating a strategy, growth, and customers. So there are things that are more important for me at the start. So I delegated the development, and I financed the development on my own, like from my agency revenue.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Then to you, or what are then the next steps for you, for Microns, and maybe other projects?
Yeah, besides Microns, we created microstartups.co. It's a project that helps people to learn in practice how to run a startup, especially micro startup. Because what I found that many people they struggle with the growing stage or development stage, and this project just solved the problem for people to learn in practice. So we interview people, we show them different projects from existing founders that build them from scratch, and it helps many people to start their own product. They learn how they get their first 10 customers. They learn how they build the project, what tech stack they used, for example, how it all started. So these are all interesting information that I read personally every evening. So very interesting interview that you can learn by practice. So because what I learned, that many articles and books, they are getting old too early, and you can't even replicate their success or their process. So that's why we've built microstartups.co to help people, to help founders, to help like beginners start their journey by reading those interviews, learning from these customers. So we share one article every week that we are thinking is a good fit. But yeah, that's it for Microns. Our next steps is to keep building the community, is to onboard more sellers to the platform, is to onboard more buyers to the platform, create liquidity, create more transactions, get more subscribers for our newsletter. So we just have like recent plans to grow it further. We have different ideas on the development, but you will learn it from my newsletter. So I suggest you to subscribe, because I see many satisfied people of reading the newsletter. I try to share value. I try to bring value to our subscribers. That's why they're so satisfied. So just make sure that you're subscribed to Microns, to micro startups, and keep pushing, keep learning, and practice, because you can start your first successful project like from first attempt. I think you will spend a few attempts before you get some success in the startup world, but it's just experience, it's just learning. And the most important advice for me is never give up.
Cool. Hey, then thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for being a motivation here, and thank you for building a great community for people to build and sell and buy startups.
Thank you so much, Sam, for inviting me. It was a pleasure speaking with you, and I appreciate your questions. It was like great interview. Thank you.
Thank you for taking part in this Never Employed Chat. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interviews with business owners and investors, or simply listen to the audio version in your favorite podcast directory. Make sure to follow me on all your preferred social media platforms, so that you never miss life-changing business tips. You find me on every platform with the account name samhartmann.com. Start a business, become successful, and tell me about it. See you next time.